right. So the video recordings are available. I keep updating this Word file. So all the links are in there. You can just download and watch the videos later if you wanted to. Like if I download this, for example, if I click on this, this is last session. For some reason it starts from, I have to sign in, okay. Did anyone try this?
Yes.
Does it work?
Yes.
Perfect. For some reason what? My password is wrong. Okay. Yeah. So the videos are here. For some reason, this is starting from. Not starting from.
Smile, you're on camera.
Perfect.
No, I'm
Fine.
kidding. It's just a screen.
You can watch
Function
the
tree.
videos and everything is
Let
there.
me create a random.
I'll keep posting everything here. I posted homework 3. Deadline for homework 3 is not next Friday, it's the Wednesday after. Reason for that is there are loops in there, which we will get to next Wednesday. So I'll give you 1 week to handle that. I will, so this homework is a little tricky and needs a little guidance probably. So I'll record, I'll solve it, I'll record things, and I'll put the video online. The solution is there. I'll put the video as well, just to, just to guide you how to solve tricky questions. So you may watch that video and then do the homework, or do the homework then watch the video, whatever works for you. I'll post that most probably tonight. So I'll add it to this class recordings Word file. What else? Chapter 3. Are you ready for a quiz?
No.
What? What the G? What the what? We should do it?
Should not do
We
it.
should not do it. Okay. We will take Aaron's word for it, and we will not do the quiz today. We don't have a quiz. But what is the inner product? Inner product.
Multiply 2 vectors,
Multiply 2 vectors.
1 by whatever times the whatever by
Yes.
1.
So horizontal vector times a vertical vector. What's going to be the size of the output? 1 by 1. I hear. 1 by 1. Right? That's a scalar. Inner product is a scalar. Outer product is a matrix. Right? Outer product is a vertical vector times a horizontal vector. That was your quiz. You passed it so good.
I got 100.
What?
I got 100.
You didn't get 100.
Yeah.
But let's go back to functions and scripts. What is a script? What does it do for us?
It allows us to be able to go back and edit things.
Exactly. So it's exactly similar to command line, right? The only difference is you have it saved. You can go back to it. You can change it. You can fix it. You can track your calculations, whatever, right? You have the file. So when you run a script, every variable that's defined in the script is going to be in your workspace, right? It's going to be saved in your workspace. It's there. Functions. What's the function? What is a function?
You can build a function and with the variable is that.
Yes. So functions are like black boxes. You give them some inputs, you ask some outputs from it. Whatever is in the function, if you don't ask for it, it's not going to be given to you. So there are some local variables defined in the functions that are not given back to you. So if you have a local variable that's not part of your outputs, you will not have it in your workspace. Does that make sense? In order to define a function, you start with what? Function. Outputs are within what? Brackets. Equal to name of the function. All the inputs are within parentheses. This is super important. Name of the function shouldn't be similar to the name of the built-in functions, right? So like plot is a built-in function. Pi is a built-in variable. If you define your function with the same name as your built-in variables, built-in functions, it's not gonna, well, it is gonna work, but that built-in is gone if you save your function as right? So when you call a function, or when you have a variable name, it will first look into your workspace. If for example pi is defined in your workspace, that's it. Then it will look into your directory. If pi is the name of a function or a script, that's it. If there is no pi in your workspace, not in your current directory, then pi will be called from the built-in MATLAB library. We come back as 2.14. Does that make sense? Perfect. Now let's again try functions. Because we rushed through the functions last session, I want to make sure that we spend enough time on this because this is super important. In terms of inputs and outputs, so the variables that you call in your function, but let's put it this way, I don't want to confuse you. Is it the order of variables that you call important, or is it the name of the variables that you call from a function?
Order.
I hear order. Let me give you an example because this might not be clear by just saying it, but as we go through an example, you'll see what do I mean by order. So to define a function, I open up a script, start with a function. My outputs are y, z, w. My name of the function is sum2. I don't name it sum, right? Because if I do call my function, if I do name it sum, then the function sum, the built-in function sum, is going to be gone, right? ToSum is fine. Capital SUM, that's fine, but lowercase sum cannot be the name of your function. Then inputs, xpq. Let me call the name of my inputs xpq. Y is x plus p. So as you can see, for now I have defined my y, so my y is in the clear. But you see this wiggly thing under z? The function return value z might not be unset, or might be unset. So we haven't defined z yet. So that's giving us an error already, that you don't have your z yet. And that's quite fine if you don't ask for it. Let me just save this for now. In order to save, let me cancel this. In order to save, I come here, click on save, or Control S will save things.
I can't, remember I cannot, I don't have the authority to save in this directory, so I go into desktop. You don't change the name of the file, right? You don't change the name of your file. Your file name is sum2. Save. Perfect. The only issue is I'm in systems32 or system32 directory. My function is defined in the desktop. So my function is not in my current directory. If I call that function now, I'll get an error. So if I just do sum2 1, 2, 3, I'll get an error that sum2 is not defined. What do I do now? I can go to the directory, right? Browse folder and go to desktop. Select folder. Does that make sense? Now here, I have my function. So when I call that, I get an answer, 3. What is 3?
Sum of x plus p.
X plus p. X is 1, p is 2, right? There are a couple of issues. First of all, we had a q which we didn't use in the function, right? So q was passed to the function, wasn't used. Does it make sense? No?
What do you say is the value for x? Where do you put it?
What?
The x, you say x is a
So,
sum and
so again, order is important, right?
uh-huh.
So the first input will be passed as x. So 1 will be x. So x will be equal to 1 within the function.
Oh, you didn't put it there. Is that
I didn't put it there.
okay,
I put
is
1.
that there? Okay.
1 will be assigned to x in the function.
Oh, okay.
2 will be assigned to p in the function. 3 will be assigned to q
Okay.
in the function, right? So that x, p, q in the function are 1, 2, and 3. Does it make sense so far? Everyone's clear?
How did you get it to run again from the same?
What?
So
Look, is it in your directory? Do you see?
I saved it, but what do you have to save it in?
Yeah. So there, yes.
So don't change that. Manual.
Not there. And select folder. There you go. Now you have your function. Now you can run your function. There you go. Did you all get it to work?
Yeah. Like other graphics.
So, yeah.
I forgot to ask, but how did you get rid of when it shut out a wide audio as well?
Okay, so you gotta put a semicolon here.
Okay.
So it will not, if each time it runs,
That's the same answer.
yeah. So that will take care of that. If you don't want to see it on the screen at all, when you're calling the function, you gotta put a semicolon at the end of that. The other thing that's important now is we are not running this function, right? We didn't use run. For scripts, we used run. For functions, we don't use run. The reason for that is that functions need inputs, right? X, Y, Z are the inputs to my function. So I cannot just simply hit run because then it doesn't know what X, Y, and Z are, or X, P, and Q are. Does it make sense? If I hit run, I haven't passed X, P, and Q to the function, did I? So it will not run. So this is the first issue. We still haven't defined Z and W, did we? But when I called my function, it gave me an answer. Why is that? What about Z and W? We haven't defined Z and W in the function yet. But when I call my function, I get an answer. I get Y, which is 1 plus 2. What about Z and W? What do you think is happening to Z and W?
I don't think Z and W is 0.
Z and W are not 0. They are not passed to the.
They just don't exist.
They don't exist. We didn't define them. We didn't ask for them. So nothing is happening with it. Now, if I remember when you just call your function, well, you probably don't remember it because I haven't said it yet. When you just call your function, the first variable is the first output is going to be passed to you. When you call a function and don't name the outputs, I'm calling my function here, and I'm not naming the output. Right? I'm calling the function, I'm not naming the output. I can do y equal to sum 2 of 1, 2, 3, right? Y is going to be 3. Y was the output. Previously, I didn't assign the output. I didn't assign the output. If I don't assign the output, the first output is going to be written on the screen. Is this more or less clear now? Just the outputs, inputs, etc., more or less. I don't expect you to understand everything right now. Just do you follow for now. Perfect. Now, remember what we said before. We can ask for the first output. We can ask for all the outputs. Remember this? Now, let's say I want to ask for all the outputs. Let's see what happens. If I just copy and paste the entire thing now, if I want all the outputs, I want Y, Z, and W to be my outputs. And then I define XPQ as 1, 2, 3. So X is 1, P is 2, Q is 3, right? For the matter of this function, this 1 is assigned to X. This 2 is assigned to P. Let me change things a little. I want to make sure that everyone see. No. Okay. All right. This way it doesn't go all the way to the bottom of the screen. So when I call my function, 1 is going to be assigned to X, 2 is going to be assigned to P, and 3 is going to be assigned to Q. This is Q, right? Now I run this, I'll get an error. It says the output argument Z and maybe others are not assigned during the call to sum2. Sum2 doesn't have Z and W. So when I ask for it, sum2 cannot give it back to me because there is no Z, there is no W defined in the function sum2. Does it make sense? Now if I go into my function and I define Z as X times P, then I have Z. So that takes care of this. So see, that wiggly line under Z is now gone because I already defined Z. And if I define W as X times Q, then what happens is that this Q had a wiggly line before, which doesn't have anymore. right? So all the inputs are accounted for, and all the outputs are defined, right? So my function is now complete.
Now you can copy and put it down there and.
Exactly. So I save this, Control S or save here, and then I copy and paste that entire thing into here, and I just plug in 1, 2, 3, hit enter, and I get the answer. Y is 3 because 1 plus 2, x plus p, right? X is 1, p is 2, q is 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. X times p is 2. 1 times 2. And x times q, 1 times 3 is 3. Does this make sense so far? Everyone is with me? Yes.
So if you were to just type in sum 2, like 1, 2, 3, it'd only give you an answer.
It will give you the first output from the function.
Okay.
So if I do sum 2 of 1, 2, 3, it will give me 3 because 1 plus 2 is 3. That's y. That's the first output. But I can ask for all the outputs.
Not working for me. Copy. And go.
Okay, so this is named G, and you have Q.
So what is important is that these variables should be the same as what's in the function, right? Because what function would take as the first input, it will take it as x. If you later call it uppercase x, function doesn't know uppercase x, right? If instead of q you put g here and later on ask for q, it will not know it. Whatever comes in as the third input is q, and that's it. If q is used, it will use it. If you ask for any other variable, if I do like y is equal to x plus p plus a, it will not work because there is no a. Function doesn't have an a as an input. Even if I have a defined here, let me do this. A equal to 9. So I have a in my workspace right now. Yes.
This may seem like an obvious question, but do you need to make sure when you're doing inputs and outputs that you're not using the same variable twice? So like for your inputs, you put y, z, w. For your outputs, can you not put y, p, q?
You can, but don't do it. Because it might confuse you. So what happens is that x, y, z, whatever you have, is going to be taken as an input, right? Until you have a calculation that x equals to x plus p, x will be whatever the input was.
Right.
But the moment that you have x equals to x plus p will override x. So the value of x is going to change.
So you can, it would just get kind of
Yes.
messy.
Yes. Any questions? Yes.
Kind of. Whenever I do this function of the sum 1, 2, 3, I'll get the y, z, w values, but they're not showing up in my workspace.
Do you have the bracket thing?
I think I did.
Okay. So what's going on right now is, let's see how you're coding this. See what's going on? You're not assigning yet.
Yeah. So I've got to assign, say, 1 equals z equals w equals. Thank you.
For sure. So see what I'm doing here? If you want to have your outputs defined as y, z, and w, you gotta assign those values to them, right? This this is basically assigning the first output from sum2 to y, the second output from sum2 to z, the third output from sum2 to w. So you're going to have this part if you want to assign all your variables or all your values to these variables. You got to have this section. If you don't have it, you're not going to assign them to those values. All right, back to the importance of defining all the variables and passing them to your function. So let's say I have my function, but now I have a plus a here. I save this. Now I have 3 inputs, right? X, P, Q. I haven't assigned A as an input, did I? Do I have A here in my workspace? Can the function just read from the workspace? No. So if I call my function X, P, Q are 1, 2, 3, I assign them to the function. I already have A defined in my workspace. But when I call this function, I'll get an error, undefined function or variable A. Because in the function, whatever comes in, that's it. The function is not going to look for your variables anywhere else. Exactly. So if you want to have an A here, you should give it as an input. Or if A is a variable that is constant, it's not going to change. It's forever constant. Pi is 3.4, 3.14, etc. Right? You can just define it right here. A is equal to 4. So A now is a variable defined in your function. It's not passed to your function. But A is already defined. A is defined within the function. Does it make sense? More or less? Even those who are not looking at me right now? That's fine. So this is the function thing. To make matter more confusing, let's get to the importance of the order of inputs and outputs. We covered this before, but we are just going to go over it again. So in order to call my function, I just copy and paste whatever is in front of this function thing into my command window, right? I have y, comma, z, comma, w here. What I do is I change the order. W, comma, z, comma, y. What do you think the value of w could be if I run this? The value of, okay. Let me give it values, 1, 2, 3. So the value of w is basically the first output from my function. So those names, y, z, w, x, p, q, etc., they only matter in the function. As soon as you get out of your function, those names don't matter anymore. Those names are only important within your function. The moment that you get out of your function, only order matters. The first output, y is going to be your first output. Whatever you call it outside, that's it. The first output that I call is w, right here. Right? W is what? Is y in the function. Y is what? X1, P2, A4. 1 plus 2 plus 4?
So that's what it is. Does it make sense? The second output, Z, is X times P. X is 1, P is 2. 1 times 2. Is this more or less clear? So again, I'm going to post these videos. So go back and watch them. Some of these concepts might take, some time to sit in. These are not too difficult. It's just a matter of getting used to these things. This is a new language again, so. So I guess this wraps up what I wanted to do with functions. The other thing that just before we move to the next concept, can I input some of these as vectors or matrices? So can X be a vector or a matrix? Basically, in a function, can we pass a vector or a matrix to a function? Nicole. Yes. So if your calculations within the function allow this to be a matrix, yes, X, Y, and Z can be matrices. In this case, I have X plus P plus A. So let's say X is a 2 by 2 matrix. P is a 3 by 3 matrix. And A is a scalar, right? A 2 by 2 matrix plus a 3 by 3 matrix is going to give us an error, because 2 by 2 you cannot add to 3 by 2. If X is a 2 by 2 matrix, P is a scalar, Q is a scalar, will this work? Why don't we try this? Define X as a 2 by 2 matrix, P as a scalar, Q as a scalar. See if it's going to work or not, and then report back to me why or why not is it working. Just a 2 by 2 matrix. Define X as whatever you want.
X is equal to what?
Y is, well, no, Y is, yeah, X, P, and Q. Oh, sorry. Maybe I confused myself on you. X as a 2 by 2, P as a scalar, Q as a scalar. X, P, Q. X is a 2 by 2 matrix. P is a scalar, Q is a scalar. Does it work? Why?
It works.
It just works. You can add a scalar to a matrix. How would it work?
Yeah, you have to do it to each value.
It will be added to each value in your matrix. Bless you. So when you have a scalar plus a matrix, that scalar will be added to all the elements in the matrix. When you have a matrix times a scalar, that scalar will be multiplied by all the elements in the matrix. Does it make sense? So when you have X as a matrix, P as a vector, Q as a vector, it's going to work because it does. Because X plus P plus A and P are scalars, plus a matrix, it's going to work.
Where are you defining this? Are you defining it in the window? Or
Yes, in the window. X is random 2 by 2, so a random matrix. P is 2 and Q is 3. So I can call my function now. Instead of 1 and 2 and 3, I just give it X comma P comma Q, right? X is now the 2 by 2 vector matrix. P is now the scalar 2 and Q is the scalar
3. So I have all the elements that I need.
Can I put the P, Q, and
You wanna
can I put it over there or not? Or,
you wanna define it here?
uh-huh.
You can. You can define x, p, and q within your function. The caveat is when you define it within your function, you don't have the flexibility to change x, p, q when you want to run that function, right? Because those values are going to be defined in the function no matter what input you give to the function, they're going to be replaced. They're going to be overwritten. Does that make sense?
I'm doing it now. To see.
So, interesting question. Can I define x as rand of 2 by 2, p as 2, and q as 3 here? Can I do that? Can I do it here?
When I tried to call it as XPQ, in the command window, it did not work. I don't know if I did something wrong.
Yeah, I did the same,
Uh-huh.
and it's not working.
It's not working. Well, I think it's going to work. It's just not going to give us what we want. Let's try it. I'm just going to copy and paste.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of x, I'm going to give it ones of 2 by 2. So 1, 1, 1, 1.
Okay.
Instead of p, I'm going to give it a 4, and instead of q, I'm going to give it an 8. Right? I just some random numbers, whatever it is. Right? What I want to show you is what you give here doesn't matter, because they are going to be replaced in the function. So if I just do this, these are the things that I'm going to get. I'm going to get 6 point something, whereas I have ones of 2 by 2, right? Ones of 2 by 2 was x. So let me do the calculations very
What
quickly.
about if you put 1 and over there you put 1?
You put whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yes? You can get the...
Instead of rand,
Not the...
I know,
Not the...
I know. I'm just going to replace rand with zeros because I want certain numbers to be in there so we can track what's going on. So I call this again. I had x as zeros, right? So x was zeros. P is what? 2. A is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 plus 0 is 6. So I got 6, 6, 6, 6. Then I have x times p. 0 times anything is 0. Then I had x times q. 0 times anything is 0. So whatever I give it as input wouldn't matter because...
And you put 2 by 2. Can you put down here in number 1? Assign that.
Like instead of
Yeah.
2 by 2,
Uh-huh.
let's do 3 by 3.
No. 1.
1 by 1,
No, 1.
just 1.
Mhm.
You can define whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yes?
You can define whatever. Because whatever you define here as x is going to be replaced here. So you define whatever. It doesn't matter because it's going to be replaced
Okay.
in the function.
Now I believe you.
Okay. Does it make sense more or less?
Around 2 by 2.
It's a no use sign.
Yeah, that's-
What is it?
No column. No.
That
Oh,
was,
I need to change it.
Yeah.
To parentheses.
yes.
Okay, maybe. Okay.
Now it's
Oh,
gone.
now you put it.
Yes. Favorite name.
And now it's okay. So look at it. Oh,
That's
because.
exactly what you're replacing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I think I was just like trying to
predetermine what the output is going to be. Exactly. Because whatever you give as input doesn't matter, because X, P, Q, or anything defined there, and the output is going to be based on those. Are you all clear? Yes? Okay, so I guess this now wraps up my function, definition of function. Now I can, with clear conscience, move to logical operators and rational operators. Relational operators, sorry. Okay, so let me close this. Let me do CLC. All right. Now if I ask you to compare P and Q for me, what is P? What's the value of P? What's the value of Q? If I ask you if P is less than Q, would you tell me this is true or false? P is less than Q. P is 2, Q is 3. P is less than Q. Is that true? Yes. So that's the relational operator in MATLAB. If you do P is less than Q, that's a relation, right? You will get a logical value of 1. True is 1, false is 0. 1 and 0. True is 1, false is 0. 2 is less than 3. Is it true or false? That's true. That's a 1. Now if I do Q is less than P, what do I get? 0. Q is less than P, that's false. I get a 0 for it. What if I want to compare if Q is equal to Q? What is, yeah.
Double equal signs?
Double equal sign. Why not 1 equal sign?
Because that's forcing it to equal that.
That's, yeah, kind of. 1 equal sign is to assign. 2 equal signs to compare. Does that make sense? So if you put 1 equal sign, it's basically you're overwriting the first one with the second. If you want to compare, you use 2 equal signs. P is equal Q, now you're comparing. If you just say P is equal to Q, basically overwrite P with Q. P is equal to Q is 0 because P was 2, Q was 3, they are not equal. If I just do P is equal to Q, what you get is P equal to 3. Because Q was 3, you assign the value of Q to P. So that's the difference between 1 equal sign, 2 equal signs. Does it make sense? You'll see this a lot in this course. What if, so in order to compare, now if I do P equal to Q, what do I get now? I get a 1, right? Because I already assigned Q to P. Logical value of 1. What if I want to see if P is less than or equal to Q? I can do that, right? Less than or equal to. Less than was what the less than sign. Less than or equal to, there is an equal sign as well. So P is less than or equal to Q. What do I get from this? 1. I get a 1. P is not less than Q, but it's equal to Q. So I get a 1. P is less than Q, I get a 0. So that's the logical values that we get from this. And this is relational comparisons. Similar thing, P is more than or equal to Q. More than Q,
more than or equal to Q. And then let me just change it to A. A is equal to Q. No, A is 9, Q is 3, so that's not going to be true. What if I want to say A is not equal to Q? What I'm doing now is I'm comparing if A is equal to Q. If I want to compare that A is not equal to Q, I'm going to use, instead of the first one, I'm going to use the tilde sign. A is not equal to Q, the tilde sign. So this has been easy. What if I want to compare if A is less than Q and Q is more than P? So I want to see if A is less than Q and A is more than one of the variables that I have to find. P. A is what? A is 9. Q is what? 3. 9 is less than 3. Is that 1 or 0? 0. A is 9. P is 3. 9 is more than 3. Is this 0 or 1? 1. If I say this and this, is it become a 0 or is it become a 1? I have a false and I have a false and I have a true. If I want to compare them, and means both of them should be the same. 0 and 1, is it going to be 0 or 1? 0. The and sign is and. This is going to be 0. If I have 0 or sign 1, it's going to be 0 or 1. 0 or 1. Is it 1 or 0? I hear
It's 1.
it's 1.
Because
Or, because or, either one of them is 1, it becomes a 1. And both of them should be 1s. Right? For or, either one can be 1. For and, both should be 1s. Does it make sense? Now let's try this. A is more than Q. A is less than Q. And A is more than P. So this is a 0. This is a 1. 0 and 1, 0. Zero and 1, it's a 0. 0 or 1, that's a 1. The or sign is shift plus that key on top of enter. Shift that key on top of enter is or. 0 or 1 is 1. 0 or 0 is 0 or 0 is still 0. because both of them are 0, right? So how you can't go to 1. 0 or 0, 0 and 0. Let's see, maybe I'm mistaken. Yeah, no. As long as you have a 0, you have a 0 and 0. 0 and 0 is 0. 0 or 0 is 0 because you don't have a 1 in there. You don't have a true.
Let's say you have a sinner and a saint. You're looking for a saint, right? So, sinner or saint, you have a saint. Sinner and saint, you want 2 of them. You don't have. You have a sinner or a sinner. You're not going to get saint out of that. Sinner and a sinner. You're not going to get saint out of that. So, I hope this makes sense. Doesn't make sense to me, but all right. So that's the relational and logical operators that we just covered. Does it make sense so far? Relational and logical. Let's do if and else if. I was hoping to get to the for loops. I don't think we are going to get to them this session. So good for you, I guess. If statements. If statements and for loops, which we are going to cover this session and next session, are like widely used in any programming. So in any programming, you have a lot of this if statements, loops. These are the key blocks of any programming language. In MATLAB, we have if statements. If statement says what? If A is more than Q, then display good job. This is an if statement, a block of if statement. If A is more than Q, display just displays. Just for now, let's do nothing else. Let's not focus on the if statement. Let's just focus on display. Display good job. It will just display good job. Display not right. It will just display not right. Right? So that's how display works. Display just display whatever you write in. We use these apostrophes when we have strings. So far we have had vectors of numerical values, right? We also have characters. If you have characters, you have this apostrophe sign. Display good job. Good job is they're all characters. So they go within an apostrophe sign. And it will just display good job. Display not right. It will just display not right. We had A equal to 9. So if I just say display A, it will just display 9 for me because A was 9. If I do display of X, it will show what? The vector, the matrix of X values. Because X was these values, the matrix, and it will just display it, right? Does display make sense? Let's get back to the if statement. If A is more than Q, display good job, end. We have an if, we have an end. If and end go together. You cannot start an if and not have an end.
how it works is if this is true, it will do this. If this is not true, it will not do anything. If this is true, it will display good job and comes to end. End is the end of it, done. If A is not more than Q, it will not do this, go to end, and that's done. Does it make sense? Does the if statement make sense? So, if A is more than Q, do you think this is correct or not? Is A more than Q? A is 9, Q is 3. If A is more than Q, so if 9 is more than 3, which is true, display good job. And it will display good job for me. Let me open up a script. Let me write these in a script. If A is more than Q, display good job. Otherwise, do nothing. If A is less than Q, display go on, end. So if let me do CLC here to get rid of everything. If I execute these 3 lines, should I expect a good job on the screen or not? If A is more than Q, A is 9, Q is 3. If I execute these 3 lines, should I expect a good job on the screen or not? Yes, because this is true, right? If this is true, this block of commands will be executed. If this is not true, these are not going to be executed. We come right to end. So if I run this, I'll see a good job on the screen right here. Now let's see what happens if I run this one. A is less than Q. Is that true or not? A is not less than Q. So ideally, if this is not true, we should go all the way to end. We should skip this, right? So go on should not be displayed on the screen. So if I execute these commands, remember we select them, right click, and evaluate selection, right? That was the way to evaluate a selection of commands. See, I evaluated this and nothing happened. So that's the if statement. But that's not complete. We can have else if A is more than Q, display good job. Else if A is equal to Q, display go on. Let's see what happens now. If A is more than Q, it will execute the command, the block of commands that are after it, right? This is the block of command that goes with this if statement, right? If A is more than Q, you display good job. And then you have else if. Else if means if this is not true, then see this else means that this was not true already. If A is equal to Q, then do this. So this means that if this is not true and if this is true, you got to do this. that make sense? So if this is true, do this, and else if it's not true, right? Because there's no else. So you're not going to do this, you're going to have to end. If this is not true, then you're here, because that's an else now, right? First one was not true, else. If A is equal to Q, then you do this. Does it make sense? Yes.
So does this mean that we don't have to put and at each of these if statements, so we can just put if display good job, else if display go on, else
Else,
and then you can wrap that all up with just one end.
we will get to that, but for now, just a second. For now, if you don't have a space between else and if, they are all part of one statement.
Okay.
If there is a space between else and if, then there are two ifs.
Oh, okay.
So if these are all one statements, you need one end for them. If you have else space if, then there are two ifs. Then you need two ends for them. Yes.
Whenever you run something like this, if there could be like two different ones that are correct,
Uh-huh.
you did A greater than Q, and then later on you did A.
As long as this is true, this else is not going to come to play at all.
Okay, so not, even if there's a true one down below it, you won't see it.
You won't see it. Because this else means in the first place, this should be wrong.
Yeah.
If this is correct, there is no else. Right?
Yeah.
I tell you, if you get a 75, you're going to pass. Otherwise, you're going to fail. And you get an 80. There's no otherwise.
Yeah.
You pass. Yes.
What's the difference between else if and else?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
That's the next step that I'll add. So now here, I do this thing. If A is more than Q, display good job. Else if, see there is no space between else and if. Else if A is equal to Q, then display go on. And there is an end. So if I run this, what happens? Is A more than Q? Yes. It will display this. It will not go to this section. It will go right to end. So if I evaluate this, it will display good job on the screen. And that's it. Right? Now back to your point. Let me copy and paste this. If A is more than Q, else if A is more than P. A is more than Q, is that true? Yes, so it should display this. A is more than P, is that true? So you could expect to see a go on the screen as well. But since there is an else, we are not going to go there at all. So if I evaluate this, it will only display good job on the screen, not the go on. If I had A less than Q, and I evaluated this, let me do CLC to get rid of this. A less than Q, is that true or not? No. It go to else. A is more than P, is that true or not? So it should display go on. So if I evaluate this, I'll see a go on the screen. Let me do CLC. What if I had A less than Q? Is that true or not? No. So it will not display this one. Else. So I should go to else now. If A less than P, is that true or not? So if I evaluate this, there's nothing to be displayed on the screen. Does it make sense? That's the else if statement. We also have else. Display U1. What does it mean? If this is true, this will be executed. None of these will be executed. It will go to end. If this is false, it goes to else if. If this is true, this will be executed, will go all the way to end. If this is false, we come here. If this is false, we come here. This is going to be executed anyway, because we don't have an if statement here. If this is false and this is false, this will be executed. Right? You can have as many else ifs as you want. You can have if, else if, else if, else if, else if, else, and. You cannot have if, else, and then else ifs. Because else will take care of it anyway, right? There's no else if after else. Does it make sense? Yes.
So all in one if, and then else if after.
Any questions? Let's do this and let's get out of here. It's Friday, right? So, if A is less than Q, is that true? Else if A is less than P, is that true? No. So you come to else. If any of them were true, you wouldn't come to else. Does that make sense? If any of these two, A less than Q, A less than P, if any of these statements were true, you wouldn't have come to else. Does that make sense? So it will display this because this was false, and you don't have any relational operation here. So it will display the U1 statement. Is this clear? Wonderful. Let me stop the recording.